Hi, kids. Let's greet each other with the same sign language greeting we learned last week. Here it is. The peace of Christ be with you, and also with you. Now let's try it again without the words. Great job. Do you know what a witness is? A witness is someone who sees, knows about, or experiences something, and then tells or shows others about it. For example, if you went to a party and played games, you could be a witness and tell others about the different games that were played. You could even teach the games so others could play too. I'm going to ask you now to pause this video and tell your family about a time when you were a witness or saw someone doing an incredibly kind and generous act. Were you inspired to also show that kind of generosity? Take turns sharing about this with your family. We've talked before about when Jesus came back alive and spent time with his apostles. We know that Jesus isn't on earth anymore. Today we're going to hear about where he went and especially about the important job he gave his apostles to do after he was gone. This is a reading from the Bible book of Acts, chapter 1, verses 6 through 14. So when the apostles were with Jesus, they kept asking him, "Lord, has the time come for you to free Israel and restore our kingdom?" He replied, "The Father alone has the authority to set those dates and times, and they are not for you to know. But you will receive power when the Holy Spirit comes upon you, and you will be my witnesses, telling people about me everywhere, in Jerusalem, throughout Judea, in Samaria, and to the ends of the earth." After saying this, he was taken up into a cloud while they were watching, and they could no longer see him. As they strained to see him rising into heaven, two white-robed men suddenly stood among them. "Men of Galilee," they said, "why are you standing here staring into heaven? Jesus has been taken from you into heaven, but someday he will return from heaven in the same way you saw him go." Then the apostles returned to Jerusalem from the Mount of Olives, a distance of 1/2 mile. When they arrived, they went to the upstairs room of the house where they were staying. Here are the names of those who were present: Peter, John, James, Andrew, Philip, Thomas, Bartholomew, Matthew, James, son of Alphaeus, Simon the Zealot, and Judas, son of James. They all met together and were constantly united in prayer, along with Mary, the mother of Jesus, several other women, and the brothers of Jesus. After Jesus came back alive, he spent 40 days with his followers, teaching them how they should live and be in community. This was such a gift to have this extra time with Jesus. When he was present with them for what turned out to be the last time, they asked Jesus a question that had been pressing on their hearts. "Now will you restore the kingdom to Israel? When can we be free from leaders who make decisions and laws that harm us and keep us poor?" Jesus tells them that while they won't understand God's timing, what matters now is they will receive the Holy Spirit, and they will be his witnesses of God's powerful love and compassion. Take a look at this picture. I sent you a blank copy of this that you can color. Right after he told them, "You'll be my witnesses," Jesus was taken up into the heavens to be with God. Jesus' followers were left to carry on his work by loving God and their neighbors, even though he wasn't physically present. Jesus' followers were witnesses to Jesus' life on earth, and they continued to be witnesses when they carried on Jesus' work and showed God's love for the world. This is how the church got its start, by being witnesses of Jesus through loving God and loving their neighbors. Now, all these years later, we still remember Jesus, and we can continue his work and the work of those first followers. Like the apostles, we too are his witnesses. I wonder how we can do that job. I have 2 questions now that I'd like you to talk about with your families. Pause this video and tell about a time when you've shown love to someone. In what way was that being a witness to Jesus? I'm going to close our lesson with a reading from Psalm 68. Listen for what it says about being a witness. Sing to God, you kingdoms of the earth. Sing praises to the Lord. Sing to the one who rides across the ancient heavens, his mighty voice thundering from the sky. Tell everyone about God's power. His majesty shines down on Israel. His strength is mighty in the heavens. God is awesome in his sanctuary. The God of Israel gives power and strength to his people. Praise be to God.